Well, let's see how this works out. I can do this without knocking it over or throwing it somewhere. It's an 18 gauge needle in case you're wondering. I reduce this epoxy down just a little bit, not too much, just put a little splash in there with it. And I think that'll work fine. We'll try it here, start up here. See, I'm going to have to mix up some more epoxy probably. Trying to put those needles, I don't know if that'll show, but you can see it has a bevel on it, so I'm trying to put that bevel, and that's just, I mean, I know, I'm telling you common sense shit. Just telling you what I'm doing. She's running pretty good down in there. See here in a minute. Now this is probably something you won't see on anyone else's channel. Probably because everyone else is smarter than me. This is probably a dumb idea, but let's see if that's going to run through that crevice, and it's going to come down in there here in a second. I may put a couple of coats in here, but I'm going to come from the inside now. I'm going to go ahead and lift this car up. This better make sure it's on all the pads. It might be important. Better get this little area in here too. Yummy. Reload. And I'll probably get right in the big ass way. That's what I do. You can see the back of my head probably. I'll try to stay out of the way. Not that this is like rocket science stuff, but oh yeah. Loving it. Loving it. Oh yeah, she's running down inside the panel. Good deal. Like I said, I'll probably do that maybe a couple more times just to make sure I get good coverage. But yeah, this is where you're not going to be able to see, so I'm going to cut you off here. Alright, we're going inside the hole. So you can see where the welds came through, the penetration. And you can see where the epoxy is running down. And you can see right there where it's actually balled up a little bit maybe. But I'll run that from the inside as well, because I can get to it from this side. The other side will be a little more tricky, but I'll be able to get to it from that side, so that'll be good. And then I'll obviously get back up in there with a brush and probably get a mirror or something to where I can actually see what I'm doing and coat the top sides of those welds real good with the little brush. But I'll clean those welds up real good first. You can see where it burned. You can see that's kind of flaky. I'll wire brush that real quick, knock that stuff loose, and then go ahead and brush the epoxy over top of that. Looks like I got a couple of little areas where I beat it up a little bit up in there. I'm gonna have to coat that again with that brush probably. So anyway, yeah, that's this side. I had to mix some more up. I used I don't know, what is this? So I got 2.5 tablespoons there. I used 2 tablespoons last time, and then once I put a little bit of reducer in there, it'll be about 3 teaspoons. I'm sorry, not tablespoons, teaspoons. So I like to use that because you don't waste much, and if you need to do a little bit more, especially on something like this, because you don't use a whole lot of it, so there's no reason to make up a big cup of it and just waste it, you know. So but yeah, I'll come back through here. I actually got this side with some that I had left in the cup, and I could literally physically watch it running down that crevice, so that was pretty awesome. And then I went ahead and sprayed some, or shot some up into that, but I'm going to go back over this whole thing one more time on this side and do the inside of that. And if I have to make up another batch to do the outside, I'm just going to brush over all these grind marks. So, and then eventually this whole front end will get another coat of epoxy, because I'll probably strip these down and coat it with epoxy and get all this nasty crap off there and coat it and make it look all new in the front, inside and out. I want this whole car to be that epoxy black in every nook and cranny I can get to. So, alright, see you. Alright, we'll see how this works. You're down inside the cowl, it may be a little dark in there, but I'm going to do a little painting up inside there. What I've done is I took a red Scotch-Brite, you can see my hand, and I sat and scrubbed all these welds and everything, got all the loose crap off of it, blew it out, and then cleaned it with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. Now I'm going to come back over and then coat that up with a little brush, a little acid brush, and some paint. Or at least we're going to try to. This will be a little tricky. I'll probably have to use a mirror to get up in there and see. I can feel a lot of it, so hopefully I'll get close to that. I may have to feel from the upside. Here's a couple of welds there. I think I put the car up a little too high. I can barely see in there. So I'm just cutting whatever I can get to. Probably need to drop this car a little bit. I can't see up and down in there. Hang on, you're going down. Alright, maybe now I can see it there better. Yeah, that'll work. So you can probably see where I scuffed it, maybe. Like I said, just using an acid brush here and going right back over the welds. A little bit more. On the other side, I had that hole in the front, so it was quite a bit easier to see what I was doing. I don't have that luxury on this side, so kind of just feel my way along here. Yeah, I can't see. Leave that in there with you, but it's probably going to get in the way. Like I said, I don't know what you can see. So I may end up cutting this part of it out, but I thought I'd give it a shot. And you guys have probably never been inside a cowl panel before, literally. You are inside the cowl panel. So that's what it's like in there. But if it rains, you're going to get wet. And I can come back with my internal camera, kind of get a look at this and see, make sure I didn't miss any spots. But I think I got it coated pretty well. Like I said, I got a mirror I can see in the back side of this, so that's what I'll do now. Alright, like I said, I don't know what all you guys got to see, but I'll pull you back out of here. So yeah, you were in there. So yeah, I'll cut you off there. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that's all coated real good. I'm going to rub these with a, like I said, a red Scotch-Brite. Just take and go back over, knock that stuff that kind of baked off or burned off. Then I'll come back over it with a cloth, with a little bit of alcohol. Kind of clean that up a little bit. And then we will throw some epoxy on that. Alright, see you guys. Yeah, they double. Where they overlap that, I forgot about that, so it's not cutting through right here. So I'll just have to go around it. and then you use the sawzall, break through it probably. This panel here ought to just pull off, looking like that. So yeah, they put a bunch of this expanding foam crap in there for why, I have no idea. I guess they thought they were going to protect it from something, but I think this stuff is probably like a sponge. Probably did more, we could do more damage, I would guess. Hopefully for me, it comes off easy. Huh. Are you serious? This isn't even attached. Either that or the popper is broke or something. That's awesome. Awesome. Jeez. Man, they hacked this thing up. Golly. Look at that hokey shit. What the? No wonder they packed this thing full of Bondo. They're trying to cover up their crappy work. Look at that. Well, like I said, it'll be easy for me to pull off. Well, it's just held on with these little pop rivets, so there you go. I just need to grind the heads off of that, and hell, it'll probably just rip off if I pulled hard enough. But alright then, here's what I was talking about. You can see how they double paneled that, so I'll have to cut through here. That little guy is not wanting to pull through that. So, alright, go ahead and get this off here and we'll bring you back. Alright, use this to get the rest of it off. This little air tool, you can see it's like, I use them until there's nothing left. Yeah, here you can see now how they did this panel. You see the pop rivets there. How they overlapped the aftermarket panel and just pop riveted it in and then filled it with filler. So, let's take a look and see what we got here. All this looks pretty good. You can see where they welded that piece in there. Looks like they may have overlapped it. I'll have to get in there and look from the inside, but we'll fix that and do a better job than what they did there. You can see where they came through here and just pieced this whole section in. So I will take this whole outer quarter completely off, or quarter wheelhouse off, leave these to have a place to weld back to, and then under here I'll weld from upside down underneath here like I did on Daryl's car. That seemed to work out pretty good. So yeah, and they've got something going on in here. I have no idea what that is. Looks like they used some kind of either tar or seam sealer or something to maybe seal up right around this window channel for some reason. I don't know. I'll have to get all that out of there and figure out what the heck they did and why. Maybe I don't know, these are factory welds here, so again, should be all factory in here. It's just this piece up front here is the one they spliced in. So, but yeah, I got quite a bit more to go. I've got to take all these, get all these spot welds taken loose. I'll have to grind away on this and take the lead out of that if there is lead in there. I'm going to assume there is. That was probably factory as well. Then all the way down under through here, I'll have to break that panel loose. And then the side. So I've got quite a bit of work to do. There's going to be a lot of grinding and drilling. But, yep, we'll make this work. The good thing is it's not rusted out. Like Daryl's car had quite a bit of surface rust in here. And I spent hours and hours cleaning his down to bare metal. This here, I'll probably just clean it up, kind of take a look at it. I may have to wire wheel it a little bit, but it looks like it's going to be a little bit easier. I'll go ahead and epoxy all that too with this panel off, and once I get my quarters I keep calling them quarters, the wheel houses and rockers. You'll call them everything but what they are. Looks like my drop off here may be usable. I may have to patch in right there. This is just surface rust here. It kind of depends on what kind of hokey crap they did to it, you know what I mean? I mean, if they jacked it up too bad putting this on, I may have to replace that drop off too, and I don't know what they did here and why. It's missing a whole stinking piece, which that's where that side marker light was, but I don't know why. I don't know why they would have had to cut this away to put that side marker light in there. I don't know, I'll have to look at it again, I guess, and figure out what the hell they did. Outside of having all this crap in here, I don't really get why they would have had to cut that away. I get it. They were making room for the expanding foam. Okay, now that makes total sense. I don't get it. Maybe that was already like that and they tried to fill it with expanding foam instead of welding a new piece in there. I don't know. They did the best they could, so high five to them. It's making it a hell of a lot easier for me to pull all this off with these little pop rivets, so yay me. See ya. Alright. That's done. Sealed up. All pretty-ish. That is not so pretty. So I'm going to melt all this out, cut these little spot welds off, cut that off in the front, blah, blah, blah. Same old stuff. But I can get a better look at what they did here. So the good news is they didn't pack this body line with, no, I'm lying. Okay, wait a minute. They welded the body line shut and then they packed it with filler. But they welded it shut, which is good news because they kind of did that right. The bad news is it's going to be a bitch for me to get that off there. So it'll probably just take me a freaking big heavy duty grinder and just rip that sucker down. I may end up having to replace this rear trunk panel, whatever you call it, tail panel. And more than likely I'm going to have to replace this too. They packed this thing full of Bondo. Daryl, had I known I could do this to your car, shit, that would have saved me a lot of time, dude. I mean, I wasted a lot of time. I could have just did one big freaking Bondo thing, over all the shitty body work and been done. Hell, you'd had your car back in like 2 or 3 months. I had no idea you could do it this way. So I'm learning something today. So I went ahead and cut the rest of this off. I'll come back in and I'll probably go ahead and rip that down too. That way I can get in here with the grinder disc and go ahead and knock these, because I'm keeping this channel. And so I need to take the rest of this quarter panel piece off. And then up through here, I'll get in here and knock these spot welds out. So what they did here, this is what's going on with this. And that does look like seam sealer. But what they did was the quarter panel in this window channel was rotting out. You can see, maybe you can see, now you can see that hole all the way through there. So they just packed it full of seam sealer, which is smart. I mean, hell, I didn't know you could do that either. Now I'm learning all kinds of good stuff. I've been doing it the freaking hard way this whole time. So I pulled all these little clips out because I'm going to have to take the window out, and before I can get to these spot welds to get the rest of that out. So went ahead and did that. I may go with a I don't know, we'll have to see how much they cost, but I may go with a flush mount window, and not put the trim back on. I don't know, we'll see. Tell me what you guys think about that. But I've seen some of the cars and it looks pretty dang sweet, and you can't tell for the most part, unless you're really looking at it, that something's different. But it's just a smooth transition and it looks pretty good. But I don't know what all that entails either. And it looks like I may end up having to replace, or at least patch, the deck filler panel, because as I was taking the rest of this stuff out, I found another hole. Well, it's not in this panel, it's in that panel, which there'll probably be some holes in this one too. But yeah, these things are bad about, all these old muscle cars are bad about this window channel getting, you know, the stuff in here gets old and cracks and brittle, and then it allows water in there, and then you end up getting rust. But it's part of it. So yeah, fun stuff. That's going to be it for me today, guys. It's 5 o'clock and I've had enough fun for one day. High five to you guys that do this every day for a living, because I don't know that, I mean, being a hobby, it's fun, but having to do this every day for a living, I don't know so much about that. But I mean, maybe it would be. Maybe it wouldn't be bad. I could see how I'd get burned out on doing this all the time, though, to where I was just like, man, I don't even want to look at a muscle car. But maybe not. All right, that's it. I don't know what else to say. Progress. See ya.